We're going to learn to assemble the saxophone neck, the mouthpiece, the ligature, and the reed in this short little video. So first things first, when you're handling the neck, make sure not to grab this piece here. This is the octave key mechanism portion, and if you grab that, it could affect how it opens and closes. The seal is vital to the saxophone and its production of sound. Okay, so when you're handling this, grab it by this end or this end. You can avoid touching the octave key mechanism by handling it very carefully. So you'll see that it has a cork on the neck, okay? Now, when you get your instrument, it's likely going to need cork grease. This is simply lubrication that you put on this to help the mouthpiece fit on there snugly. You'll take a tube of cork grease here, and you can simply rub it on the cork here to soften that up and to lubricate it so that the mouthpiece will fit comfortably on there. After you do that, you take the mouthpiece and you gently twist it on like so. Okay, now you'll see the length of the mouthpiece or the cork here. The mouthpiece should go on so that about 1/2 inch here is exposed. Okay, that will be a good starting point as far as intonation set on the saxophone. Now you see that the mouthpiece, when held like this, has a few different pieces. All right, there's obviously this beak that you see here, much like a bird's beak, and on the other side of that there is a hole here, and that faces down. Okay, this is the top of the mouthpiece. Okay, and at this point we're going to slide the ligature, this piece, on the mouthpiece. So the ligature comes in many different shapes and sizes, and they often have screws on them. Some have 2 screws, some have 1. This one has 1. And as you can see, one side has a bigger opening than the other. So the bigger opening actually goes on the mouthpiece first, with the screws on top and pointing right. Now some of your ligatures, the screws will be on the bottom, but in all cases the screws need to be pointing to the right side. Okay, now if you look as I twist this around, you'll see ligatures like that. Now the reed is now going to be slid in between the mouthpiece and the ligature, and I'm taking my left hand here, and this is actually a good little exercise for you to try to do, is to be able to, one, hold this piece, the neck and the mouthpiece together, and gently slide the ligature up and down. Okay, because when we grab the reed here and assemble it with these parts, you'll slide it in between those like so. Okay, now let's see if I can get the camera to see that. All right, so that's going to take a little practice. All right, so I want you to practice that with me again. All right, we have assembled the neck and the mouthpiece. Then you're going to hold this piece like that. We're going to take the ligature. We're going to slide the ligature on like that. Again, with the screws pointing to the right in whatever fashion that you have. And then we are going to lift the ligature up, raise it up like so. And then we're going to take our reed and slide the reed in between the mouthpiece and the ligature. Okay? And it's at that point that we can make the final adjustments here. Now when you're aligning that, this is a Ligature reed, we're going to try to align it with the tip of the mouthpiece. Okay? And in doing so, I like to hold it and look at it so that it's right in line. It almost looks like a fingernail. All right, if it sticks out too much like this, which you can see the tip of the reed is too far, it's going to be really hard to make a sound and probably not possible at all. If it's too low like this, where you see a visible space between the tip of the reed and the tip of the mouthpiece, there won't be a sound at all either. So you're going to line it up like that, and then you will twist the ligature screw only so that it's snug. You don't need to bear down tight on that at all. All right, just tighten it so that it's snug. Now it's important that you see how far down the ligature goes on the reed. So the reed has a particular scrape on it that also kind of looks like a fingernail. Ligature needs to go beyond that, and when you look at the top here, you'll see that the shape and texture of the mouthpiece changes. Your ligature needs to be beyond where the texture changes. All right, it needs to go past this sort of angled scrape of the mouthpiece to the top. Okay, and on the underside, again, get it past the collar. This is what we call the collar of the reed, and you should be fine. Okay, now the purpose of the ligature is just to keep the reed in place and to allow it to vibrate fully. All right, so again, whenever you disassemble this, I want you to do it in an exact reverse order. So loosen the ligature screw, push the ligature up a little bit, remove the reed, then remove the ligature, then remove the mouthpiece, and you're all set.